Hello and welcome to another edition of the Manufacturing and Engineering Podcast. Today we are delighted to welcome James East, the Managing Director of Wurth Electronic for UK and Ireland. James, welcome aboard.
Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Brilliant stuff. Well, not only are you our guest today, you are also one of our principal partners and sponsors. We're delighted to have you on board. I'm sure Wurth needs no introduction, but let's have one anyway. Tell us a little bit about Wurth Electronic and what you do.
Sure. So Wurth Electronics is a passive component and electromechanical component manufacturer. So we specialize in all sorts of components that customers and engineers want to put on their PCBs. And we've been in the market now for getting on to 30 years, I suppose, in our current guise and current formats. And the great thing that we have as Wurth Electronics is we're part of this big mother company, the Wurth Group, which is a German-run, German-owned family business that made its name in nuts and bolts and screws and fastenings globally. And now electronics is pretty much the fastest growing entity within that group. So we deal with customers and industries across all countries, all industries, all vertical markets, from the one-man band or one-person band in the UK for us in Ireland and all across the world, right up to the biggest blue chip companies you can think of in the market.
As I said right at the start, you've come on board as a partner for Manufacturing and Engineering Week, and we're delighted to have you. And it's just a few weeks now till we open the doors. We're all very excited about this first event. So can you tell us, why did Wurth Electronic come on board with M&E Week?
I think for us in the UK, we've been in the UK market for 20 odd years now, and the UK, I'd say, specialises and should be really proud of the technology, or being at the technology forefront in the UK, and we're really proud to be part of that as well as a company within the UK. Also, it's one of the first exhibitions, shows, experiences post-COVID where we can really, hopefully, let our hair down in still a safe and responsible way and get back to being face-to-face with everyone from the industry, electronics being, from our perspective, one of the most interesting parts of it. And the fact that I think for the last 2 years, we've had to be really adapted to this kind of virtual experience, which is, I think, still here to stay and has really good benefits. There's nothing like being face-to-face with people and learning about what they're working on and how we can support them. And I think the UK and customers and companies in the UK have still been working over the last 2 years on really interesting projects, products, innovations, and we want to be part of that and support customers and companies through that process in a face-to-face way.
Yeah, and I think you're right. When we open the doors and all of the engineers and manufacturers coming to the event get to see what's going on all the different stands, all the different content streams that are there. Whether you've got hair or not, you'll be welcome. I'd just like to point that out at this point. Letting your hair down.
You can't see behind me, so don't worry.
Letting your hair down can be metaphorical in some situations. But I think you're absolutely right. We're very excited about the innovation that's going to be happening. Bringing everyone back together is really exciting. So we're looking forward to opening the doors at the NEC.
I think it's sharing ideas and innovation as well. People haven't had a chance to do that within, maybe doing it within their own company, but haven't had the opportunity, industry leaders, to do that with each other and to learn what's happening. There's been a lot of things going on in the last 2 years that people want to share their experiences on. And I think everyone being together in one place is going to be really exciting to do that.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And you're in a kind of an interesting situation, aren't you? Because, as you pointed out, you are a supplier, obviously, hence your sponsorship and wanting to connect and find solutions for engineering problems. But you're also a manufacturer. So you have that you really do have both sides of the coin. So you're in that enviable position where you can really share insight on what you've seen through the last few years and what you're seeing for the future. So from that perspective within Wurth, what do you see the biggest kind of challenges and opportunities going forward for manufacturing and engineering?
I think, other than the obvious thing that we've all had challenges of in the last couple of years of being stuck in our various locations or limited to where we can go and what we can do, and the knock-on effect that COVID's had on everyone, and say those obvious factors, it's the knock-on effects from that. And the last, I think, it's really almost 3, 4, 5 years of, in the UK in particular, with things that happened with Brexit, just that massive uncertainty in all markets, in all industries, and people just being quite reserved as to how they want to move their business forward. So it's been really challenging to um, for customers as much as us to support them, because there's been all of these external factors that have been this perfect storm of challenges that have made it really hard for people. So I think the biggest challenge we're now seeing, or have seen in the past 2 years, then is the supply chain. And in electronics, absolutely, I suppose most people in the news have read about silicon problems, or the ICs, the integrated circuits, where the supply versus demand on these in the last couple of years has gone really, really crazy at both ends of the spectrum. We had the lockdowns and everyone shut production down. We had really quick ramp ups of people buying a lot of consumer-led products. People wanted to buy new cars at the back end of 2020. All of this demand for electronics, in particular ICs, meant that people couldn't build them quick enough, and we're seeing this in the market, particularly places like automotive. This is in the news a lot, where I think it's last quarter we've made the same number of cars as we did in 1958 or something crazy like that. The reduction in output that we've managed to globally that's happened. So as a manufacturer and as a supplier, what we're trying to do with customers and have these conversations is and I think what customers are interested in is how can they secure their supply chain. I think that's going to be a massive topic for a lot of people at the show, is how can they find suppliers and people they want to work with, from customers up to manufacturers and suppliers. How can they have a reliable supply chain and make sure that the parts they want to buy and the products they want to build, they can do it basically with what's available in the market.
Yeah, I think, well, as you rightly say, automotive for me is the one that seems to be the most visible, and it's the impact on cost of second-hand vehicles as well has been absolutely crazy, to the tune that my brother tried to buy a Tesla that was second-hand with 20,000 miles on it, and because it was available now, it was £2,000 more expensive than the one that you just have to wait the best part of 9 months to get brand new. But as you've said there, you have a different way of looking at things. So how have Wurth Electronic been able to keep that manufacturing production moving? Because you're still fulfilling orders, you're still being able to produce things. You're obviously still looking for new customers. If you had no supply, that challenge would be there. So how have you managed to weather that particular storm?
I think we're fortunate. We're fortunate within ourselves. We're a privately owned company, so the whole group is owned by a Mr. Wurth, and that gives us a really excellent position that during this really tough period in the last couple of years, we haven't had to have that constant a worry or focus on having to pay back the owners or the suppliers of or the owners of the business, and usually that's shareholders. So being privately owned meant we've been able to consolidate all of our resources in that time and not do things like make redundancies, which has been really nice, and keep investing from a supply chain perspective in the factories, in the raw materials, which I think a lot of people haven't been able to do. Everyone is really trying to do that, but there's only so much resource, there's only so much factory capacity. So us as a privately owned business have been able to do that to a really good extent. And the fact we've got spread in lots of different locations. So production for us, we're not just relying on one geographical area, one country, factories or production, and we're really spread globally, which mitigates our risk as we're seeing still in the UK and I suppose Western Europe. COVID is not so much of a daily issue now. See, for the people of likes of Shanghai and those areas, it definitely is an issue. I saw a picture, I think it was on LinkedIn or social media the other day, of a sort of a space shot of the outside of the port with all the ships being tracked, and it was just, it's like the M25 of the ocean at 5 o'clock on a Friday, just chock a block of ships trying to get in and out. So there's major issues still of supply chain coming out of not just China but those areas, and for us, spreading that production not just in Asia but across other countries has been one area we've been able to just carry on supporting our customers.
And you mentioned right at the start, innovation, new technology. One of the things that's always been at the kind of the absolute cornerstone of British engineering and manufacturing has been innovation. We seem as a nation to have that kind of that gift of seeing new opportunities and working out how to create new things to meet new needs, to advance engineering and science. And it requires pace to do that, but it also requires resource, it requires support. It can sometimes be a long run to take a nascent idea of your product change right the way through to delivering it at market level. And what I find fascinating when we've talked before is Wurth really have a very specific way of approaching that, which is quite unusual. So could you tell us a little bit about how you get alongside people for that kind of that innovation journey?
I think for us, all of the people who work for Wurth Electronics, we're really passionate about supporting customers. We don't just want to sell them stuff. We actually want to support them on their journey. And yeah, one of the great things about the UK is we are, I think, an innovation hub and should be proud of that. And there's lots of customers working on really innovative and even cutting edge technology in the market. So for us, working as partners with them, I think is really important. We aren't just a sales force with those customers. We want to go and support those customers when maybe they've only just got their funding or they've only just spun out or still part of that university research center where a lot of other manufacturing companies like us only want to sell lots and lots of products and don't want to put that investment and time into those smaller or startup companies. But for us, that's such a cornerstone of our business. By an engineer, for electronics engineers. So going into those locations, actually going to talk to them at their level, have an understanding what they're working on and what they need from us, and quite often, or is the case, we're looking at new solutions for them. There's a lot of new markets, things like EV and automotive. There's a huge influx of technology of in around environmental applications. This is really important, and some of these need new electronic solutions within that. And we're really proud, I think, to partner with customers really and join them on that journey, because some of those projects might take 3, 4, 5 years from concept into making something that then still might not make it into the market. But we're willing to invest our time with those customers and then often in parallel produce products for them to support their needs.
I mean, I think it's a great way of approaching things, and I'm sure it gets you a lot of ongoing support and loyalty from your customers because, as you say, the interesting thing there, even if it doesn't make it to market, you're still working with them because sometimes it will, not everything does, obviously. And so that long-term gain for you might not happen in every situation. However, that support for the customer remains in place right the way through.
And often there's more than one player in the game. Our customer then might have 2 or 3 other companies and I suppose people invested in that opportunity or product. That's not investors, but that's quite often the expert in that environmental project isn't an electronics engineer. So we're having to work with lots of different moving parts on that over a long period of time. So more complexity, but we're happy to do that.
That's great. So, as we said, Manufacturing and Engineering Week just around the corner. There's going to be a huge amount of content right the way across the board, covering all aspects from manufacturing, engineering, design, maintenance, every possible conceivable topic being covered over the 2 days of the live event and 2 days of the virtual content as well. I know Wurth are going to be producing sessions, one on each day. So 8th and 9th of June at the NEC. So can you give us a bit of insight as to what we can expect from the sessions and the practical content that you're going to be providing over the course of the show?
Yeah, I think the challenge we always have with presenting at these kind of events is what topic do we choose? We've even within our product range, there's dozens of topics we could cover in product ranges and applications and technology. So choosing what's most of interest or we're getting most feedback from in the market, I think is what we usually choose. So the 2 we're looking at this time is one being thermal management of electronic products. So what we're seeing in the market is an evolution. Typically in electronic products, people want them to be higher speed, have more power, be more efficient, but be in a smaller package. Usually that means products will get hot naturally. So we've got a range of new thermal products, which are basically designed to take heat from a product and spread that out. So ultimately, you're getting better efficiency from all the customers getting better efficiency from their products, and using more lifetime from their product as well. So there's live demos and practical examples of how we can use this thermal technology within electronic solutions and products. So that's one. And the second is another relatively new product series from us, which I think is so interesting going forward. And I suppose you could sum it up into the sort of realms of IoT. That's quite a sort of buzzword topic, which should spring out into loads of different subtopics, I know. But the second session we have is around sensors and monitoring, and we've got a range of MEMS-based sensors, which are really tiny sensors for remote monitoring. So that's things like temperature, pressure, humidity, accelerometers. So with the world of IoT, people want to be able to monitor things, products, buildings, etc., but done in a remote way. So people need sensors in these environments, and the session is how to use them, how to design them, the features, the benefits, and why people who maybe haven't considered going down this kind of technology before might want to. So I think when we talk about innovation and new technologies, this is going to be one for people who want to look at that.
Brilliant. And I think it links as well from what you were saying there. I mean, lifetime of a product is, with the increasing pressure on net zero, everyone obviously has to have a net zero strategy in place, which is, those early impacts you can get in a relatively straightforward way. But actually, it's going to be designing in at a product at a board level is going to be where you're going to see that genuine sustainable impact for people's products going forward and in their production lines as well. And that seems to be the big topic across the board, obviously, with the impact that it has across it. So those kind of design implications you're talking about there, about measuring, about sensors, about reducing heat and prolonging lifespan of products, obviously ones to watch out for in order to help you in that process as well.
Yeah, absolutely, and we're excited to do it and actually continue to do it in a face-to-face environment and not just over a webinar. You tend to get more instant feedback from the live activities for sure.
Yeah, no, it's going to be great. We're looking forward to it. So thank you so much for being on the podcast with us today. Don't forget, everyone watching, that you can register for free to attend the physical sessions, the 8th and the 9th of June at the NEC. It's going to be an absolutely brilliant event. You'll also be able to take advantage of attending TCT 360 and MedTech Innovation Expo, run by Rapid News Group, who are partnering with us. So your ticket to us also gets you into their shows for free as well. So don't forget to take advantage of that. Really looking forward to welcoming you. And in the meantime, have a great few weeks, and we will see you soon at the NEC. Thanks again for joining us, James.
Thanks a lot. See you there.